going to move now to our legislative report. This is item 12-0400474. We have with us Sandra Vargas and Afrak Vargas from K Street Consulting. And directors, you should have in front of you the report from them. We discussed this at our last meeting, and there are a number of bills moving. So what I would ask Ms. Vargas is if you could just give us a quick overview, and then I'd like to move into the bills where you're recommending a support position, and then we can go through and see if there are further questions. So thank you, and we welcome you. Thank you for coming.
Certainly. Thank you very much for the opportunity to represent you in Sacramento as your legislative advocates. We have been trying to go through all of the approximately 4,000 to 5,000 bill requests that have been submitted as possible measures. And the deadline at the end of last month produced about 4,000 to 5,000, whether they're spot bills or actual, or there's actual content in the bills yet to be seen. But we are trying to go through those quickly as possible, so we've put together a legislative report for you for consideration of certain positions on bills per your direction. And we've also recently attended a hearing on your behalf, along with President London here in Oakland. Assemblymember Swanson hosted a hearing, informational hearing regarding state school financial takeovers.
We did talk about that earlier in the meeting, and it was great to have your help there.
Good, wonderful. Well, we're continuing conversations with his office to see if there's any possible legislation in the arena of audit, fines, and penalties. So we will let you know as we cover those items in the future, and we work with your legislative delegation as well. Like I said, we have a few recommendations here, 3 specific bills that we encourage you to at least consider for support. These are new bills that have been introduced this year. We can go through them as much in detail as you'd like, but there are also about 8 new bills that we put on here as possibly to just monitor or track for you, as well as towards the end you'll see some 2-year bills that are listed. That list consists of approximately 13 bills that we believe are still moving through the process or have actually stopped moving, but that we would like for you to keep on your list because they may possibly be revived, as we call them, along the way. So we'll start with the 3 support position recommendations that we have for you. The first one being AB 1172 by Assemblymember Mendoza. It's regarding charter schools, and it was recently amended, so we can see that this bill actually made it through the first deadline. It is now in the second house in the Senate. Basically what it does is it would make one of the criteria for a school district to be able to deny a petition to our charter. It would add to that list the fact that if that school district is suffering from declining enrollment in a charter school or under a qualified fiscal status, that it would not be able to accept that as a criteria for being able to establish that charter school. So you'd be able to deny that school if there's declining enrollment at that particular charter school.
I actually would like us to sort of stop for a minute and say, okay, now we're going to talk about AB 1172. And I actually went online today to review the legislation on the bills where you were recommending a support position. And AB 1172, I think coming out of the last Assembly Committee hearing, has been modified, and the language now says that if the charter school petition has identified as the proposed site for its charter, if a school wants to convert from being a district school to a charter school, this is how I'm reading it, and they have a qualified certification, or they would receive a qualified certification if the school went charter, that would be what is currently in the bill as the grounds for denial. So they have really tightened it up.
Yes, and the closing of that particular school is tied to declining enrollment.
Right. Okay. So that is, so directors, I would like to move that we, even though I'm not wild about this language, that we support this bill. And I'm asking if there's a second. Great. And
you're taking separate votes on these, or are you going
I think we should vote on each one separately, yes.
All right.
All of them?
No. There's 4 where there's a recommended support position, and we may not vote on all of them. But I personally feel very strongly about this one, and I would like to see us support AB 1172. Yeah, there's an opportunity for comment. If there is any. Oh, do you have a card in, Mr. Mordecai?
Yes, he does have a card in
Okay,
on the side.
go ahead. Just, sorry, Ms. Vargas.
Jim Mordecai. The point I want to make here is the power of the CCSA, the Charter School Association. They had prior to the committee rejecting, because first of all, this bill was rejected in committee. And then it's a 2-year bill, I believe. And then after amendments, it went to the Senate. They had a lobby day, and they were able to, and it's on their site, they mentioned that they were able to successfully defeat it. And then down the line, the implication is that stay alert, and we'll gather our forces again, organize to defeat it again. This bill that you're going to support is really about the ability of you to say yes or no legally based upon the fact that it's going to do physical damage to, or physical in the monetary sense, damage to your district. And what I want to alert you to is the power of lobbying and organizing. And I know CTA was in support of this, but in spite of that, they were able to do this defeat. And so that's a cautionary tale. And every time you improve another school, another charter school, you increase the amount of power for these people to lobby, which not necessarily in your best interest. That's my point. Thank you.
Thank you. Directors, is there any, there's a motion on the floor to support AB 1172. Is there any discussion?
So actually what's here is not actually what the wording of the bill is now.
It does still pertain to the negative fiscal impact that school would have on the district, but it also has been amended as of the 26th of January to also include the qualified certification for the charter school that could be possibly closing due to enrollment. So there was that new amendment that was added towards the end, right before we printed this report.
I would just observe, Director Spearman, that even with this more stringent language, the way the bill has been amended, it's still something that would pertain directly to Oakland right now. And if this were to be in effect, this would be another factor that we could consider when we're evaluating a charter petition.
Taking into the conversation of Mr. Mordecai, this actually, we could vote to support this, and this actually could turn and become a negative for us.
How do you see that?
I see it as, it's just like Swanson's bill. They can either lobby and have the language totally changed, or it'll go, most likely I believe that the language will be changed where it will not be beneficial to the district. I just don't think that the legislature is strong enough to withstand the lobby. I just have questions about it, because if I have it here now and it's been changed, I'm just a little hanky about supporting something that is not really in its final stages. It's just, I guess it's just my thing.
And I hear that. I personally think there's value in weighing in early in a process. Ideally, we would have weighed in before this amendment happened, but even if we take it where it is now, if the bill is further amended in a way that we don't like, we can withdraw our support for it.
So another question, is CSBA supporting this?
Do you
Do
know?
you know?
Yeah, I believe they are. But there are, I'm not sure how many individual school districts are on the support list yet, but there are quite a few. We
As CSBA
we
is
can
supporting
find out
this?
for you. I believe so, yes. Let me check on that.
That's going to take them a little bit of,
I just
Okay.
questions, okay. Okay, I'm through.
okay. Are there any further questions? Comments? Can we call the roll, please?
Director Yee,
Yes.
Director Kakashiba,
Yes.
Director Guile,
No.
Director Dobbins,
Director Spearman,
Yes.
Vice President Hinton Hodge,
Yes.
President London.
Yes,
Motion carries.
thank you. Can you take us now through SB 81, please?
Sure. SB 81 essentially puts back into the state budget, the general fund, the $248 million that was taken out mid-year for home-to-school transportation. And that bill has actually been passed through the legislature and is now enrolled on the governor's desk awaiting a signature. There's maybe some understanding with the governor that he may sign this. We've heard rumors about possibility of an actual signature on this bill. So it strictly does just that, puts the money back in for school transportation.
And what's the value, given where it is in the legislative process, of us taking a position on it right now?
If this bill is not signed by the governor, I can assure you there will be others that will attempt to do the same thing again. There are a few proposals out there that talk about instead of making the home-to-school transportation cut only to districts that have home-to-school transportation, those being affected, that it would make an across-the-board cut per pupil to every school district. That way the districts that are receiving money now would not feel the pain as much. There's one of those bills going through. There's probably going to be 2 to 3 dozen budget bills coming through. The committee hearings on the budget are just now commencing in the legislature, so they're going to be talking about this issue very closely. I think they're waiting to see how the governor will proceed. He does have a limited amount of time to be able to sign this bill before others move forward, before others know what to do as another viable option on this issue. Small school districts are also affected by this, being as they do receive a big chunk of home-to-school transportation.
Superintendent, can you remind us the impact of that particular budget cut on our budget?
It's about $2.8 million.
So if this bill were to pass, that money would be restored to us?
The bill
No.
has passed.
The bill, if the bill were to be signed, excuse me.
No, that's actually not accurate. For us, it would be, Deputy Superintendent House probably got this better, but I think it would actually mean about $1.4 million to us, because the way the bill's structured, it's not actually replacing the full cost of home-to-school transportation, and it's basically distributing the cost of about 50%.
Currently, and for the longest time, school districts have not received full funding for school transportation. There is certain part of school districts' budgets that normally goes to pay for this service if they prioritize it in their budget. So you would be receiving 1.4. It's not a full funding, never has been.
Okay,
So this affects just, for us, this just affects the special ed transportation? Okay.
There's also semantically fragile kids, so yes.
Okay. The same people that we transport, yeah, okay.
okay. Is there a desire by the board to support this? If there is, we should have a motion.
I just have one question. I recall reading somewhere that this bill disproportionately impacts Los Angeles Unified, that they are the primary beneficiaries of the readjustment. Is that accurate? Because the money, if it's restored, is going to come from somewhere. So my understanding is the money would come from the general budget or the education side of the budget. Is that true?
It would come, yes, it normally is funded under,
Prop 98.
correct, Prop
So
98.
if it comes out of Prop 98 and you restore it for transportation, it's going to come out of some other
Right.
category. And that would be my only concern.
And
So
we
I
don't
intend-
have, we don't have to take a position, I just,
Yeah, I'd prefer to do a little more due diligence on that.
Direct,
I intend to- I
Associate
intend to vote
Superintendent,
no.
Deputy Superintendent Howell, did you want to say something? You've approached your microphone.
Yeah, my understanding is, Director is correct about, he is correct about, you give it one way and take it another. But for us, because of where we're sitting, there are a lot of rural districts where this takes a heavy hit.
Right.
Exactly.
We're kind of in the middle, but with this being restored, my understanding is there's additional reduction to our revenue limit, and the impact is about the 1.4. So we get the 2.8 back, but then reduce our revenue limit per ADA, an amount that equals about, half of that. So we do benefit.
Okay. Is there an interest in taking a position on this bill right now?
What are we gonna do, lobby?
We either have a motion to support it, or we don't, and,
If we
okay.
support it, what would
We send
do?
a letter to the governor saying, please sign SB 81. We support
You guys
it.
need to go on up to his house on Saturday.
Well, you could do it there too, then. If we're on the record, you can say, this is what my board supports. Is it Vice President Hinton Hodge?
I made the motion.
She made a motion to support the bill. Is there a second? I'll second it. Is there any further discussion?
Need to check in with Mr. Mordecai.
Mr. Mordecai, did you want to say? Okay, let's call the roll.
Director Yee,
No.
Director Kakashiba,
Yes.
Director Gaio. Yes. Director Dobbins. Yes. Director Spearman.
I don't know.
It's
Go
not
ahead.
recordable.
I don't.
Are you abstaining?
Go ahead, yes.
That was
Yes,
That was a yes? Okay.
yes.
Vice President Hinton Hodge.
Yes.
President London.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. AB 1521, oh no, ACA 21.
Thank you. This bill, as you've probably seen in other measures before, prior to this year, has and would make it possible for a local community to approve a parcel tax based on 55% approval as opposed to 2/3. There was a similar measure in the Senate by Senator Simitian, but that measure did not go anywhere. It was stuck in the Senate Elections and Constitutional Amendments Committee. It's possibly dead without a waiver, but this bill has been created to be able to do what that prior bill was trying to do. It has a period of time where it has to be in print, and so it will not be eligible to be heard in committee after February 5th, which is really early in the committee process. But most likely it will be scheduled for March or April hearings.
Great. Directors, any questions on this? Superintendent, you have anything to add? Then I'll move that we support ACA 21.
Second.
Can we call the roll, please?
Mr. Mordecai? Oh, speaking?
I think he wanted to speak on 1172.
I just need to document it in the record.
Okay. Go ahead, Mr.
Director,
Mr. Rakestraw, can you call the roll, please?
Ms. John, please call
Director
the roll.
Yee,
I abstain. I don't know enough about it.
Director Kakashiba,
Yes.
Director Gaio. Yes. Director Dobbins. Director Spearman.
Yes.
Vice President Hinton Hodge.
Yes.
President London.
Yes,
Motion carries.
thank you. And then there was one more that you recommended we support right now, which was AB 18.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that?
I don't know if I put that on our list.
It's
It's here.
down
it's there.
Maybe I have a wrong copy of it.
It's on page 9 of your report.
So education, finance, school-based financial
Oh, I'm sorry,
reporting
yes,
system.
it's because it's an older bill. Maybe 18.
Yeah.
But it's dead, isn't it?
Where did it go?
It's page 9 of your February
Here it is.
4th
Thank you.
report.
Yes, this bill, we've been monitoring, has been a 2-year bill, and so it relates to budget and finance in that category. So far, we've been working with Assemblywoman Brownlee to hear more about the details in this particular bill that has to do with building a more comprehensive school-level financial data system where you'd be able to track and report and monitor new ways of looking at your allocations. School-level financial data, as you know, is very complicated. So I think her idea to work with the superintendent of public instruction to make recommendations to the governor regarding ways, either statutory or regulatory changes that need to be made in order to be able to give you the ability to have more flexibility and more financial data available to you to make your decisions in your decision process. But this bill was actually, I believe it failed the last hearing that was in the Senate Ed Committee. And so what we've heard is that the committee consultants, the committee staff is looking to continue working on this bill. There talk about a working group to try to come up with ideas. But there's a support recommendation because it would give you the ability to do more with school level monetary data, financial data.
Mr. Howe, do you have any thoughts on this?
Actually, as I'm listening to it, it'd be great to have something more user-friendly. The question is it more user-friendly? So
It's always
without
the
seeing
question.
it, you have to dig deep to see it devils in the details. So the
Right.
concept, yes, but not enough information to know that it's truly what it will be.
Okay, I hear that. Is there any interest in supporting this bill right now? Because we can always monitor it, and there's nothing lost by doing that. All right, I think we'd like to keep monitoring it, and you might convey to the committee staff that conceptually there was some interest from us, but we need to know more about what it is. It's not well defined yet.
Yeah, we do anticipate some amendments as we get closer to the committee deadlines.
Okay, and then I had a question for you. I because of the lateness of the hour, I don't want to go through this whole list, but when we spoke last time we met, you had been recommending that we support Assembly Bill 331 by Assemblymember Brownlee, and this, I think, is the bill that would issue a state general obligation bond for capital improvements. I was
I
wondering.
believe that's also in here. Let me see which page. Page 5, under facilities. That bill, again, did not make it through the last Assembly Appropriations Committee because of the financial impact that it has on the state, being a general obligation bond. So we are awaiting to see if they will produce a new version of that bill.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
I did just want to mention, we looked at the last Assembly floor committee analysis on AB 1172 by Assemblymember Mendoza regarding charter schools, and CSBA is not listed as support. I know that they were, in some cases, considering very closely to work with school districts who actually some of them may have done some resolutions on the topic, but they're not listed in support, and we have a small list of school districts that are in support. If you look at the committee, the last committee analysis.
Okay, well, we've just taken a position, so we appreciate that. And do keep us apprised of any changes in that bill, please.